guy. We're going to get into that and the thought process of Brad Holmes. And Dan Campbell talks about the most improved players so far in OTAs and minicamp. Let's go. You can go to Arizona Cardinals. They did the behind the scenes of their NFL draft experience, kind of like our Inside the Den, but they did theirs. And in the snippet there, their general manager is talking to Brad Holmes. And you know what Brad Holmes tried to do? He tried to make a G move. Now, he did make the trade where the Lions went from 6 to 12 with Arizona, and we got the Sam LaPorta pick, 34. We got pick 12. And, we swapped a pick as well. But Brad Holmes tried to get Arizona's 2024 first-round pick. Why is this a G move? Why does this make sense? Why did he try to do that? Not just because it's obviously better than getting a second-round pick, but because just like a lot of people, myself included, a lot of fans, hell, even the odds makers has the Arizona Cardinals having the first pick in the 2024 NFL draft. So Brad Holmes was like, you want to know what? We're going to go ahead and snatch that boy if we can. And so he asked for it. Ultimately, Arizona wasn't dumb enough to do that. They said no. The Lions got the 34th pick in the draft, which is a very high pick as well. And we got Sam LaPorta, who's been balling out in OTAs and minicamp. It just goes to show we have a general manager that gets it. You always ask, even if they say no, you always ask, because knowing the fact that Arizona's going to be butt cheeks this year, and if you could have got their first pick, it's probably the first overall pick in the draft, that is maximizing your profit and your capital in a trade. So I'm glad that he asked. Obviously, it didn't happen, and I don't think anybody should do a trade like that, knowing the fact that your team's going to be butt cheeks. It didn't happen, but I'm glad that Brad Holmes tried. Let me know in the comment section. Thoughts? Is Brad Holmes a G for trying it? Y for yes and N for no. Of course he is a G, if you ask me. I love how our general manager operates. I love how he thinks. I like how he strategizes. He's not just thinking about the now, he's thinking about the future. And when you get future assets, you're thinking about the team long term. And we always talk about that on our channel. We always talk about that as a fan base. You as the fans, myself as a fan, and Herman Moore as a player. You're always looking for the best of your team for the now and the future. Brad Holmes got our backs, folks. Brad Holmes got our backs. Dan Campbell spoke, and he talked about there's 5 players he felt like improved the most in OTA/minicamp, and they're players that we have talked about quite a bit on here. One being Derek Barnes. He's improved significantly, and it doesn't hurt, that there was times that Malcolm Rodriguez couldn't practice due to injury. He took full advantage of that. And considering when you draft Jack Campbell with pick 18, you have Alex Anzalone, who's going to be the starter. Derek Barnes now understands his job, his time on the field can be significantly reduced if he doesn't start performing and taking a big jump. So he took full-on advantage of it in OTAs and minicamp, and I'm happy that he's doing that, because when we drafted him a couple years ago, I thought this guy could be someone you can develop and be a very good linebacker for the Detroit Lions. He showed a little bit of that in his rookie year, not so much last year. You want him to make that jump, and let him understand. If you want to play, you got to start performing. You got to get it in your head. So good for him getting it done, and I do agree with Dan Campbell on this one. Another player he says is Nate Sudfeld is significantly improved. I don't know if I can really say that, because we got Sudfeld after bulk of training camp. Remember, he wasn't here in training camp. He was a kind of a pickup when the 49ers released him, so there wasn't really much for him to show. Now, obviously, you have practices in the regular season and all of that, but still, now you get a chance to kind of really understand the playbook and all of that. He has a chance to kind of dwell into it, and so he's improved. I don't know if I would actually put him on this list because per reports from everybody from Jeff Risdon to Jeremy Reisman to, all of the outlets out there, Freep, he's been inconsistent. He'll be good one day and butt cheeks the next day. I guess that's an improvement from straight butt cheeks, but, he's got to do this knowing that Hendon Hooker's right there, and he knows. He ain't stupid. This guy's a pro. You don't draft Hendon Hooker for him to just be nothing. He is going to be the number 2 for the Detroit Lions when he's healthy, so Sudfeld's got to perform now. And considering the fact that the Lions did give a contract to Teddy Bridgewater, that's not really, I'm doing a good job as a backup quarterback. That's not something you say, you know what, I'm secure with my job. It's absolutely not. So let me know in the comment section, do you think that Nate Sudfeld is an improved player? I'm going to say, not really. That's just my thoughts. Ifutu Melifonwu, boy, he better be improved, and he has shown improvement. He's done good in practice because his job is absolutely on the line. I think it's going to be between him and Will Harris, who gets that, and Chase Lucas, who gets that final spot. Because we're seeing some players step up undrafted rookie, who we'll get to in a minute, and the additions of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, Cameron Sutton, and you got Jerry Jacobs, who's been balling out and he's shown great work, that your job's on the line, Ifutu. You've been injured. You haven't done anything. You haven't had a spot known where you're going to be at for cornerback or safety. You need to get your stuff. And if you look in the NFL, 3 years is generally how long the average NFL player lasts in the league. Guess what? It's year 3 for Ifutu Melifonwu. And we upgraded the secondary immensely in the corner position and in the safety position, getting Brian Branch, Tracy Walker coming back, Kirby Joseph, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who puts in that role. So he did improve. He's played well. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I really don't. I don't think he makes the roster. He's got to perform at a high level, and he's got to make a significant jump because he has not done that. Now, I loved Ifutu Melifonwu coming out of the draft. I have. But his injuries has really hurt him, and I think they shouldn't have moved him from cornerback to safety. I think he's an outside corner. His big body staying with the receiver is what I feel he's good at. Maybe they'll push him more in that in training camp, but he's not going to beat out any of the guys that we just talked about. We're talking about he has to beat out Chase Lucas. He's got to beat out Will Harris, who they like. He's got to beat out the undrafted rookie. I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm good he did well, but I don't know. Next guy here, we're just talking about him. Starling Thomas, the undrafted rookie, has performed extremely well in OTAs and minicamp. And I got to tell you what, I love seeing this because there's always undrafted guys that make the team. And a couple of my subscribers were telling me about him after we picked him up. And I didn't pay a lot of attention considering the fact that we are so big depth at the cornerback position, but he's performed really well. If he keeps improving, who would you rather have? Ifutu Melifonwu, who's been in the league for 3 years, that hasn't really improved, or this undrafted guy that's taken significant jumps who may have a higher ceiling, or Chase Lucas, that's all right, but you haven't heard anything, or Will Harris, who is a veteran. It's kind of, where he's at. Out of all those players, I'm going undrafted rookie, the guy who has the higher ceiling. And he's been doing really well. He's staying with us. He's knocking the football down. He's not out of position. He's looking damn good. This is not just a situation where, he's just the better of, he's actually performed well. Now, this is with pajamas on. We get it. But he's performing well. You got training camp coming up here. he may make it over those other guys. I mean, if I am a general manager, I'm going to take the guy with the higher ceiling and who's performing well and younger. It's all the positives. Everything is a positive from that aspect. That's the way that I see it right there. And I agree, he's performed extremely well. Shout out to Starling Thomas for doing what's difficult like Jerry Jacobs did, attempting to make the team and making an impact as an undrafted guy. Lastly, and absolutely not least, how in the hell can Amon-Ra St. Brown be on this list, continue improvement? How does he continue to improve? He is a pro's pro. This guy is just such a great player for the Detroit Lions, such a great mentality for a football team, such a good leader and a person that practices. He just gets better, and better because of how he operates. He's most improved. This guy is top-notch already, Pro Bowler, and he continues to improve. This guy was a great draft pick. This guy is a great Detroit Lion. His mentality is exactly what we need on this football team to get out of the same old Lions concept. It's players like Amon-Ra St. Brown who's going to take this team to the playoffs and make it a team to be reckoned with for years to come. His mentality and his ability to practice and his discipline that he does upon himself is top-notch, and it rubs off on everybody else. He does practice the way he plays. If you watch him in training camp, he's feisty. Absolutely love it. Guy's a pro's pro, and it's amazing that he's on this list, that he just continues to get praise, even though he's a baller all the time. Folks, we're dropping videos 6 days a week. Make sure you hit that notification bell, like button, all of that. Get it done in right now so you don't miss out on our Detroit Lions. Subscribe. Get her done. With that said, folks, adios.